Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast with Matt and Brian. I haven't said that in a while, so it had to feel good. And as always, joining us on the show, we have Kevin Mulder from Prep Baseball Report here in Missouri. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. We finally got Matt back in the studio here. He's been running all over the country with baseball and
literally.
How's it been going?
Good.
Yeah?
It's been going good. It's been going well. Seeing a lot of really good players. I've been hanging out with a lot of high-end scouts and stuff like that. So
we're going to be soaking in the knowledge. We're going to bring all that knowledge.
Doesn't mean I'm smarter. It just means that I was just hanging out with those people.
No pearls of wisdom.
Correct.
Dang it.
Yeah, you think that maybe they would have taught me something, but they didn't.
Oh, man. Well, hey, today on the show, guys, we've got Class 5 district champs, the opportunities for these guys to repeat, and we're going to be very upfront and honest here. I'm this way. There's going to be some of these districts, some of these teams we don't know a lot about. We're going to look at what we know and tell you and give you an honest opinion. We're going to look at some players, and I think that's the best we can do, right? And as we grow, as we move into some of this, maybe we'll get a little more familiar with some of these outlying districts, and we'll be looking at some of this as we move along. So let's jump into it. You ready?
If Kevin's ready, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go, guys. District 1. Now, this was the one that we were discussing. Kevin's got a little bit of knowledge of a couple players there. Festus won District 1 last year. Now, I gotta say this, guys, right? Because we know that the districts won't come out for 2022 till like 2 weeks before the season starts, right?
Did they do it that late last year?
Yeah.
Or this year, I guess?
They did it after the season started, and that really, we could have a whole show on that topic. And if you want to get me going, I'm sure it's going. I feel like that's something you could set before the school year starts and have it, set. But that's how Missouri does it currently. They wait till after the season, or at least did last year, and then put them out two weeks into the season, which seems ridiculous, but that's what they do.
I wonder if this year, last year was the first time that they really said, okay, here are the new rules. Because remember, we met with them. So maybe that's why it came out so late, because they were so far behind in getting each school's attendance and then actually looking at the schools that didn't belong in a lower class, like the MICDSs.
Right.
I think the St. Dominic's was another one. Some of these schools got bumped up.
Right.
Not based on attendance, but more or less that they were just dominating their class. So I wonder if that's why it took so long for them to actually come out with it.
I think that has a lot to do with it. And I'll tell you what, Kevin, here's what we'll do too, because if you're going to weigh in on this like that, I'll get Coach Perkins over in the seat over here, and I'll let you two go at it.
They'll probably be in agreement.
He will be, because I know he has a lot of the similar issues with Misha.
Yeah, but I don't want to bash Misha on it because we don't know the inside scoop on why it took so long. But you would think, right? I agree with Kevin. You would think that they would have it done.
Right. Kevin, your thoughts there?
I think I have a lot of respect for Misha and for high school athletics in the state of Missouri. I think they do an overall good job. And maybe there's a reason, someone a lot smarter than any of us three has releasing it 2 weeks into the season. And I'd at least love to know why. But it seems to me like you could have the playing field set before the season starts, and I would put it into the school year. You should know who's in your in that type of thing.
I think we ought to reach out to Kenny again, Kenny Seifert, see if we can get him on the show, chat him up a little bit, see what's going on. I think that's a great idea.
There you go, Mr. Producer.
Great show and educational one, I'm sure.
Do what now?
I'd be a great show, and I'm sure it would be really educational.
It is. And Kenny's great to talk to.
He is.
He doesn't, you can ask him any question. He doesn't back away from it. And I think that openness, he'll tell you, we want the conversation.
I think he likes having a platform to give some inside information on what they go through and what they do. Mr. Producer, got that? He's on it. He's got it.
Absolutely. So Festus, District 1.
Kevin, go.
Yeah, because we have no clue. We have none.
Yeah, no, that's just obviously a good baseball region. I'm familiar with that from my time out at Jeffco. Great Legion program out there. So you got a bunch of well-coached guys and, players that the community generally cares about baseball. It's kind of interesting. I'm not necessarily saying it's better, but often the further away you get from the metropolitan area, you get little pockets of, or community that really get in a specific goal. I think Festus is certainly one of us behind the baseball program, both the high school region, Jackson high school. We've talked about that, how I think that's one of the best places to go watch a high school baseball game in the state of Missouri. And Festus, I think, would fit to there. So you get a complete roster of guys that care about baseball. It's important, etc.
Well, we lost Kevin, so we're going to continue with Festus, right? We know
Kevin.
nothing.
We know nothing on Festus, so we will move on.
I'm gonna say District 1 goes to Festus.
Festus District 1.
They're going to repeat. We'll get Kevin back on here shortly, and we'll go to District 2. Rockwood Summit took District 2 and kind of came out of nowhere, really, in that district, right?
Yes, but the thing with Rockwood Summit, because right now we're just talking about winners.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about district winners and can they repeat. District 2, Rockwood Summit, they have a lot of kids coming back, which, as you know, when it comes to high school baseball, that is huge.
Yes.
It's huge. They have one close game. Other than that, they ran through their district. They've got 5 seniors, at least that we know of, 5 impact seniors.
And I think, as we've talked about, and you say this all the time, you got a right-handed pitcher, a junior, and a senior, righty-lefty. Jack Portager going to Eastern Illinois. Landon Myers uncommitted. He's still a junior. Just that combination right there.
Well, Pottinger alone.
Is it Pottinger? Excuse me.
That's how I say it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I could be wrong.
I say it.
We'll go Jack.
Yes.
Jack. He's a guy, because we always said you need one arm to win you one game.
Hey, there he is.
I don't know what happened. I was talking for a while, and I noticed you guys weren't saying anything or moving. And I was like,
we noticed about.
They're not speechless.
So, this is great. I love this show.
It's live TV.
It's right.
We were talking about Rockwood Summit. We moved on because Dumb and Dumber here don't know anything about Festus. So
So we're on to Rockwood Summit.
So we moved on to Rockwood Summit. We can circle back to Festus after this, but we're talking about Jack. Is it Pottinger? That's how I say it. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, Jack Pottinger, and he's a
good lefty.
He's
arm.
A kid with a big upside.
Boom.
We just don't let him talk anymore.
He's having some struggles on.
Yeah,
there he is.
There we go.
You froze up again, brother.
I think one of the more upside left-handers in the whole area. It's not going to surprise me at all if this guy's a household name. Come April, May, by the end of the high school season, he's got a chance to be really, really good. Obviously, we saw them in the state. They had a really good run and, well-coached team, good, solid program. And, I would expect Pottinger, though, to be, leading the charge for that group again this year.
Well, we were saying that they have a bunch of seniors coming back. Mm-hmm. They've got an arm, so they've got at least one legit guy that can win them a game.
Yep.
Which, as you know, when you get to districts, one arm to win you a game can win you a district. Two arms can really solidify you in a district. But I think whatever matchup they get in their district, they need him to throw. They throw him, and hopefully you're not matching up against somebody else that's just as good, and they can win that game.
Right.
They got a lot of guys coming back. Owen Schneider, Missouri Southern, outfielder.
Yep.
He's another one. I mean, because they scored a lot of runs in their district last year. It was 11-0, 2-1, 11-1. So I think they got a good shot.
I do. I think I think when you look at this, Rockwood Summit is as good. They were good last year. And, I mean, that was a close game that they played against. Didn't they play South?
They play. Oh, you're talking about in the playoffs.
In the semifinals, Kevin, wasn't it South? I think it was.
Did they beat Parkway South? I honestly don't remember.
No, I was talking about in the state semifinals.
Oh, yes, it was South. Yes.
And that was a one-run ball game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good ball game.
No, they beat Rockwood Summit, beat Festus, and then they lost to Grain Valley.
They lost to Grain Valley. Okay. All right.
Willard beat South.
Willard beat South. All right. So, but I think they're coming back with a lot of any other thoughts on Rockwood Summit there, Kevin?
No, I think the key on that one is Pottinger, and if you have one of the frontline arms in the whole city, that's obviously a recipe for success. And we know they have a good total roster and that they're well coached, and the pedigree. They were there last year, and so you would expect big things again out of them this year.
Yeah, I would think they're probably a favorite.
Could
just
be,
in the state.
Yeah,
with what they have back.
Stay in Class 5 in that respect. District 3, school we're very all familiar with, Parkway Central, took that district. That was kind of the one that was if I'm not mistaken, was kind of out there. Nobody really expected Parkway Central to come out of that district, right?
They were the 4 seed and kind of got hot. Now, I will say this. I really like a couple of the guys on Parkway Central's team. Joe Ciervos is going to be a senior. He was kind of the leader of that team. He's a high-energy player, probably my favorite uncommitted 2022 player. Plays shortstop for them, can also play all 3 outfield spots, and hits for average, has a little juice in the bat, can hit the ball out of the park. Not necessarily a home run hitter, but can hit the ball out of the park and causes havoc on the bases. And, they got him. They got a very good catcher in Sean Kang, a really good catch and throw guy, Elijah Kelberg as well. So this is a group that I honestly think will have a better regular season. Now, whether they can replicate the postseason success, who knows? Because they are in a really good district. You got, Chaminade has some good arms, led by Charlie Weber. Ladue High School has a couple good players. They got Ethan Taylor, and they have a really big arm that was out last year that will be back this year. Oh man. Came with me to the future games. Will Moore. Sorry. Yeah. And Will's a talented right-hander, 6'4" righty, 6'3", 6'4" righty that's every bit of upper 80s, 90 miles per hour, and will be a major impact arm for them. And then you got MICDS, who has a really good 1-2 punch, and Jack Niedernhaus and Eric Podgorny. And then, of course, you got traditional power Westminster, if they keep the districts all the same. So,
right.
So that's that's a pretty tough district. And, Parkway Central will certainly be right there in the mix. But to say that they're the favorite would be, in my opinion, a stretch. But I think you'd throw all those teams we just talked about, and you could make an argument for any one of them.
So you're looking maybe even again being another maybe 4 seed in that group where they were last year in that respect. And they could make a run, but they're not the favorite.
But this is the team, Westminster, they beat Westminster in the second round.
Right.
And
yes.
we discussed this because Westminster threw down.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't throw Moten in that game.
Correct.
Right.
And so it was 10-8. They figured we can outscore them, and Moten's sitting on the bench. So no offense to Parkway Central, it's a different game if Moten throws.
I agree.
It's a different game if Moten throws against anybody. So
that's right.
No offense.
He didn't give up a run all season.
Correct.
And that's a great point because we talked about that. What do you do? Why'd you do that? And this is a coach's decision, and it gave Parkway Central an end to that district. So
yeah, which
and by no means am I second guessing anyone on that, because that is a challenge, and all coaches have to go through that in districts. You got to, in particular, when you have a big arm that is separate. It's a little easier when you got a 1-2 that are pretty similar. You can kind of roll them out in however order you want. But when you got a guy that is so far and above everyone else, it can be a tough decision on a coach, manager, whatever, because in single elimination format, that is kind of the exciting / tricky part of it. You got to decide when to use your bullet, and they held them, and a lot of people would have, and it just didn't happen to work out for them, so it's
correct, because that would have changed everything, because if they would have threw him, I don't think Parkway Central, for one, gets out of the district. 2, that probably puts if Westminster then wins the next game, assuming.
Sure.
Moten would have thrown 2 games out of the 3.
Yeah.
They would have made it to the finals because he would have threw on the 29th and then the 4th. So he would have had full rest to throw 2 games.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I agree.
And Sunday morning quarterback here, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But then as a coach, like you said, I think that's the great thought process here. Trusting your guys that you have that big arm, but can we get a win with a guy that's our next guy in line?
But they did for the first one.
And that's
round.
tough, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Kevin obviously has coached. You have coached. I have coached. I don't like leaving knowing my best dude didn't get on the field.
I understand that thought process, and I think that's and you know what? We've seen that in the playoffs. I'm watching the other night, Dodgers and Braves, right? They're going extra inning or looking at going extra. I mean, here comes Julio Urias coming in the game, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's the game 3 starter, game 4 starter, whatever it was. And here he is in the 9th inning. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting push. But that goes to your thought. Here's Dave Roberts. I'm going to put my big lefty out here because I gotta stay in this game and try and get this win. And I think that goes right to your point.
Yeah.
There you go. If we go to the big league level.
Yeah.
But it's the same thought process.
District 4?
District 4, Fort Zumwalt South, 4th place finish. District 4, they've got some kids coming back. They have the right-hander, the junior. Ryan, what? I'm sorry, I will butcher these.
Shorefide?
It's Shorefide, yeah,
something like that.
Is that correct, Kevin, or do you know?
I don't know him. He's a 23 arm. I would say
they were a senior-led group. I remember that. I'm pulling up their stuff now.
They've got a good young arm in Carter Cox, who played varsity.
Yep.
A lefty.
Yep.
As a freshman.
I love Carter Cox in that 24 class, and he started. In fact, he was on the mound when the season ended for them. Didn't go his way, but that's something that's only going to get him stronger. And to have that experience. How many freshmen pitch in the state tournament? I mean, think about that. and he's a two-way talent. I think he mostly pitched for the varsity team. But he's a guy that's going to create an impact on the mound. Certainly, they did lose some key pieces to that ball club, but looking at this district, I do feel like they'll have a real chance to be right there at the top, especially with a guy like Carter Cox kind of coming into his own and. Maybe taking, instead of being the number 2 guy or the number 3, he's going to be more of the, the number 1 or 2 type. And I think that'll be, they'll be in good shape there.
You've got Jack Dunn, shortstop. Mm-hmm. He'll be back. But it's really, I think for them, if the districts stay the same, it's going to come down to Malt East lost again. They lost some big guys.
South. Yeah.
Lutheran St. Charles, I don't know. I think they just got a new coach, or they're getting a new coach. Mm-hmm. So I don't know the situation with them. I don't know what they have. I think South actually has a shot to. They got some good young players. I think they're going to be very young, but I think they've got a good shot because there's a lot of good kids in that 24 class, and if they pull them up. It could be one of those years where, hey, the handful of seniors we have to lead us, but let's get everybody the experience, and then the following year is going to be really our year.
Yeah.
Kind of like a CBC was supposed to be this year.
I think it's going to be between South and East again, personally, because East had a couple of arms as freshmen that I think you're going to see. You have Luke Aubuchon coming back with East. Who's a good, solid player, good, solid pitcher. He throws low 80s, mid 80s, shortstop.
Even mid 80s. Yeah, we saw him at the Battle for the Arch, and he
was good.
He's a good one. I like him a lot.
I know him well.
And you have the kid, I'm trying to remember his name, and maybe you can. They brought him up as a freshman playing third base. And, oh, man. He hit some home runs. He played third base well, and he pitches, and he throws in the mid 80s. So, and you had a few arms. So I think South and East, I think it's kind of up in the air. I think we're going to see, because I think both teams have younger talent, and I think it's just we're going to have to wait it out. Personally, I do.
The one kid on East that's going to be super exciting to follow the next couple years is Jackson Carter. He is flat out the fastest player in the state right now. That kid is a legit 6'4", and I have personally had him on Laser Time run a 6'4", and I heard a report this fall that he ran a 6'3" something. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but the fact is he can flat out fly, and he started on the varsity as a freshman and hit about 360. So that guy is a game changer, obviously, and it's going to be fun to watch Jackson the next couple of years, and that's going to be a guy that coaches and potentially even pro scouts start to pay attention to in a couple of years if he keeps developing offensively, because that's the type of running speed that would be classified as special. Obviously, that's like having a mid-90s fastball.
That's actually world-class speed. That's what that is. That's world-class speed when you talk about sprinter speed and things like that. That's what it is. And so,
yeah.
And I'm going to put in a plug here. We just finished. It's up on the channel. You can go to our channel and watch the player spotlight with Jackson Carter. We had him on the show, talked to him. Great kid, great family. Really enjoyed talking to him. You'll enjoy that interview. And he talks a little bit about his speed and the things, what he's working on. And he was talking about what he was focused on in the fall, and it was the hitting. It was getting better at bunting. And I think he was trying to maximize his talents and his abilities to use that speed. And I think that's great. So you're right. I think that's a key cog there and could push East over South that way.
To the top. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and he's only, like I said, a sophomore. Boom.
Yeah, and we got 3 years left with him.
It's going to be fun. If they've got the pitching.
He's going to steal some bases over the next 3 years, I think.
Maybe one or two. Oh, man. And I'm looking forward to it because, with the player spotlights, we get an opportunity to talk to some of these kids. We got some more coming up. We sat down with Titus Sissel from Francis Howell. That's coming up here in November. We're going to have a young man from Springfield. We were talking about him earlier. He's a 2025. His name's Jeremiah Jones. This is a fantastic talent out of Springfield. And so we're looking for, this is why we like talking baseball here, guys, right?
One of the many reasons.
One of the many reasons, right? Yeah, there you go. So let's go on District 5, Willard. Willard were the state champs last year. And I'll be honest with you, the only real thing I know about them is they have this left-handed pitcher, Clayton Kaiser, coming back.
Clayton Kaiser, I saw him this fall and this summer. He is a tremendous two-way talent, outfield, left-handed hitter, and I think going to make an impact for him on the mound as well. The one thing you can say about Willard, they have and there's a number of good coaches out there. They have one of the best coaches in the state. They run a great program year in, year out. They're going to be in the mix. Doesn't mean they're always going to be there, win the state championship every year. But they had some really good young players, and they had a couple freshmen that played in that championship game. So we will see them back in the state tournament sometime in the next couple of years. I'm certain of it. But yeah, that is a really strong program. And, I would have to say Clayton Kaiser certainly is leading the charge for that crew this year.
What's interesting too, Justin and I were remarking about this before we started the show, Kevin, when we were down there, we talked to a lot of, the stands were full of Willard fans and young teams, kids with Willard shirts playing baseball in that program all the way up. And they were out there watching these kids play ball, growing up in that program, growing up in that atmosphere. I think that points to what you were talking about. And everybody had great things to say about the head coach. I don't know who he is, but everybody really, really, it was. And you could
Coach
tell.
McGee, and they do really good work down there. And it's a program. It's not just a team. It's not just the varsity team. It is a program, and they get them when they're young down there. They get them in the program. They get them playing how they want to play, and they teach the fundamentals all the way through. And they harvest. They get a pretty good harvest when those guys are varsity players.
Which nowadays, that's pretty much if you want to have a successful high school baseball program.
Yeah,
you can't just say your senior you play because it's your time. It's got to be give me the best guys. I don't care if you're 15 or 18. Give me the best guys, and let's go out there and compete. Which is very similar to what. And the St. Louis based is what Perkins does. We're talking about what Willard does.
They know how to play the game when they get up there, and I think that can be kind of a tough thing. Because some of these kids are coming from these summer programs, they don't even know who their high school coach is. They've never talked to him, don't know his philosophy, the way he likes to play baseball, and I think it can create some conflicts in those situations. Yeah,
it's up to the coach to put in place what they want. If you're just saying, hey, I'm going to take this job because nobody wants it, then you're not going to do anything with it except for, hey, this is who I have. I'm coaching. I have no idea who the freshman or sophomore are. But that's a whole other story. It's a whole other topic. Sure. But it's kudos to Willard, like he was saying, in what they're doing, which is why they're successful.
There you go. District 6, Glendale. Carter Lewis. You got a couple of 2023s here in Carter Lewis and Brooks Kettering. I know Brooks Kettering dad. He's part of the Midwest Mavericks group down there. Lance, we've built a relationship with those, and his son is a good baseball player. He's solid.
Yeah, Brooks is a two-way talent. He can really handle the bat, plays like a coach's son. He can hit, and he's kind of have a trick arm angle guy on the mound that still is like 84, but it's kind of from a lower slot, and he competes, and he's a fun one to watch on both as a pitcher and as a hitter.
What do you know about Carter Lewis, another 2023 there with Glendale?
Limited amount, strong right-handed pitcher. There's upside there. That is going to be one to follow. That is going to be a tough district. In my opinion, Webb City was really good last year. Let's see here.
Well, Glendale
Carl
didn't give up
Junction
a
High
run.
School and Branson sometimes is good as well. And Glendale might be the favorite in that group, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. I will say that. So that'll be an interesting one to follow this coming year, because you got a couple strong programs right in that district.
Well, I think last year we picked Webb City because we thought because who they had. Mm-hmm. And then Glendale kind of surprised us.
Right.
And then they even surprised us more because they didn't give up a run in the entire district playoff.
Yeah. So that shows you their pitching is solid, right? Glendale.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
And, and from what I understood, just talking a little bit with Lance and whatnot, because just you get a little information. They had a younger team. I don't think they were heavily seniors that way. And we'll see how they come back and push into this year. I think Glendale has as good a chance coming out of that as you said. We'll watch Webb City, and you said Carl Junction, correct? Carl Junction High School.
Yes. Yeah. They were another team that were in my small school rankings at times during the year.
So let's we're going to finish up with District 7, because we're going to say this, and we don't mean this in a bad way. There's District 8, and Smithville came out of District 8, and Kevin told Matt and I where Smithville was because we had no idea. It's north of Kansas City. No slight to these folks. We just don't know. We really just don't know. And I'm sorry. We're not familiar with it. And so we don't have a lot to say about Smithville. Hopefully they'll have another good season and come out of that district. We'll see what that is. But we're going to talk a little bit about Grain Valley, District 7.
Before you do that one, to give Smithville credit, looking back at last year, they steamrolled through their district.
Did they?
Steamrolled. 21-1.
They had a
14-3.
Yeah.
So
Smithville,
21-1.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Smithville had one of the longest win streaks in the state last year. I think they rattled 17 wins off in a row or something along those lines at one point. So yeah, they a very strong program, and I'll also verify that I need to get more familiar with their roster here, but they had a good run at it last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they lost to Grain Valley that lost to the finals to Willard.
Right.
So
they lost to Grain Valley. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So and that's what I mean. We're not trying to dismiss them in that respect. And thank you, Matt, for doing that. Because it's just we just don't know that much. So all we know is what we see there, and they kick the crap out of everybody, right?
Yeah, and then they ran into a buzzsaw.
Right.
Can't do anything about that.
And so that buzzsaw was Grain Valley, second place, lost to Willard in the championship game, which was a really great game. And they've got some kids coming back. Kevin, you want to jump in here on some of these kids?
They have a young guy, a sophomore named Breck Sloan that I really like. Versatile guy, can catch, can play the infield. He swings the bat. Jackson Kaler on the mound is a senior for them. So they have they certainly have some ability, and they were one of the more fun teams to watch last year. They kind of had it going on, whatever it is. They kind of had it. So it was a fun ride for them, and they've produced some really big players. Jacob Mizerowski, who's one of the top JUCO arms in the country, who's at Crowder right now, throwing. He's up to 98 miles per hour. Came out of Green Valley. So these guys, this isn't like a fly-by-night fluke type thing. These guys have been here and been around, and Green Valley produces some talent, and it's kind of between Kansas City and Warrensburg, so it's probably 30 minutes outside of Kansas City or so, and I think it's similar situation to the Festus or Jackson. They get behind it and obviously have a good program throughout.
Very good. So, and you've got, a couple of 2023s there in Dylan Laughlin, Avery Garman that went through it all last year. I don't know if, they were playing as sophomores, but they're coming up there. If you've got that up the middle, you got a senior in Nick Hooper. So their roster is kind of right there and sits there. And I think they have as good an opportunity to come back out of that district as anybody, I'd imagine.
I would agree.
Yes. So who did they beat in the district last year?
Marshall. 2-1.
So that was a good game. What'd you think of their district last year, Kevin?
I would say that it's not the strongest district in the 5A, top to bottom, but you have some programs that could certainly rise up. Raytown South is a bigger program, and so it's high school. Things change, and doing this stuff, you learn a lot more about these guys. Everything we're talking about today can be completely wrecked with an off season of winter training and guys that were, marginal players or not household names. Certainly, last spring, go 3 inches, gain 6 miles per hour on their fastball, whatever. And suddenly become stars overnight, and or not overnight, but over winter. And I promise you, there will be that case again this year. That happens every year, where guys come out of the woodworks, and by April we kind of know who they are, and they start to pop up. And that'll be a big piece of it, is how these guys, which teams have the guys that develop, and there will be guys that we don't even know who their names are that are going to end up being Division I players, star JUCO players, etc. That are maybe not household names at this point right now, and rightfully so, because they're maybe your average guy right now. But a lot can change at this level, and in a course of 5-6 months.
Yeah. A 16, 15, 17-year-old kid, more 15, 16-year-old kid can change a lot in 5 months.
Absolutely. So. Guys, thanks. It was a good show. I hope everybody out there enjoyed it. We got through this, and we'll preview it, and we'll see how close we are from here to where we go over there. When it comes to previewing the matchups when it gets down to it in March, right? And because we'll have our districts, and we'll pick some winners and see. I think we're going to be in better shape. This is our first full year of this, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward as we get into the 2022 season. So, Kevin, thanks, man.
Thanks, Kevin.
Matt, as always.
Always appreciate it.
You pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
hit them where they ain't.
Good advice. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. We'll see you next time.